Hello, and welcome to the ID Talk podcast. My name is Peter Counter, and I'm the editor-in-chief of FindBiometrics and Mobile ID World, where we are reporting daily on how biometrics and digital identity are facilitating new forms of work and community that are emerging from reactions to the COVID-19 pandemic. That's why, on this episode of ID Talk, my co-host Susan Stover interviews Shiraz Kapadia, CEO of Invixium. The conversation begins with a discussion of biometric access now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, as enterprises lean to favoring contactless authentication. Kapadia discusses how these factors have affected the fingerprint biometrics market in particular, and the new challenges presented by the new normal. The discussion shifts to how biometrics will fit into the new economy as some regions enter the early stages of recovery, and concludes with a look to the future and how identity will fit into a post-pandemic world. It's a fascinating interview about a pressing topic in identity, so without further ado, I am proud to present FindBiometrics Vice President of Digital Content Susan Stover in conversation with Shiraz Kapadia, CEO of Invixium.
The demands of the biometric security industry have shifted quite dramatically due to the COVID-19 pandemic, trending towards touchless technology. What are your thoughts on this trend, and what changes have you directly experienced?
That's definitely a question on everybody's mind, actually. And yes, I definitely agree with the fact that there is a lot of talk about this word touchless. It's the new word that is being used a lot when it comes to biometrics. So as far as Invixium is concerned, we definitely saw a trend about 3 years ago when we launched the Titan, and 1 year prior to that we were in development. It was also corroborated by the fact that Apple introduced the Face ID. So what gave birth to IXM Titan was exactly what we saw as a trend towards touchless biometrics. And there are a number of reasons for that. Fingerprint has been around for a long time, and I don't think it's going anywhere. It's definitely here to stay. Although I do feel that there is maybe a decade worth or maybe 2 decades worth of adoption that has been triggered for touchless biometrics because of this COVID-19 situation that we are all living with. So I do see that in applications like access control, in applications like workforce management, where the databases that you're matching to are relatively small, I do feel that it will all get switched. If not all, most of it will get switched to touchless biometrics, whether it be facial recognition for the most part, but iris is a good touchless technology as well. So for high security applications, that is not going to be very frequently used. I think I see iris being used in those applications as well. But where the databases are large, where if it's immigration or the Aadhaar programming in India, where Saudi Arabia, for example, there is central databases, like tens of millions of fingerprints have been captured. And whenever you are at an immigration station going into the country, you're asked to put your fingerprint on a live scan device, and it's being matched to this big database. I think it's going to take a long time before applications like that get switched to touchless, because it's not, even fingerprint, it took more than a decade before that level of automation happened on the national ID side. So yes, I do see the fingerprint demand receding to a certain degree for certain applications where touchless is going to be the new norm, as we all are liking to call it these days. But I feel that fingerprint as a technology is going to continue to be prevalent in some of the applications.
And how has the role of fingerprint biometrics been affected by the new and intense focus on low contact security solutions?
As I think I've answered some of this in the first part of our discussion, where, wherever large databases exist and fingerprint readers are deployed at the immigrations, at law enforcement arenas, etc., I think their fingerprint will continue. And even if it's not going to continue, to replace that with something new is going to take quite some time, because standards haven't been developed, and fingerprint, as we know, has been quite mature. So I think those applications like national ID, law enforcement, criminal ID, I think fingerprint will continue as a prevalent technology and an application. But yeah, when it comes to access control, whether it comes to payments, whether it comes to workforce management, I do see, and we experience that ourselves because, we have seen a dramatic increase in the adoption of Titan. We have everything, right? We have 5 different product types. We have touch biometric products. We also have touchless biometric products. And Titan was given birth to address that market. And in 2 years' time, I would say 2018 is when we started selling it. And 18 and 19, our biggest seller has been IXM Titan. Yes, it's a beautiful device. It's a rugged device. It's going to work in places where other biometrics haven't worked. But primarily, the pull towards Titan was because of its capabilities to do touchless biometrics, which is facial recognition. So I think the fingerprint market is here to stay, but not in all the applications. Applications where it's day-to-day use in office environments and enterprises, industries where they all have to convince workforces to come back to work. I do feel that for the foreseeable future, touchless biometrics is going to be the way to go.
And what new barriers to the adoption of biometrics have been introduced by the pandemic?
I think, if anything, the barriers have been eliminated. So for the past 8 weeks or 9 weeks, I would call it, the world has gone into lockdowns. There is a lot of hype about this work from home concept. And I do feel that, remote working will increase over the next few months, years, and it might be here to stay. But as we know, not every industry can be privileged to adopt this work from home concept. So manufacturing, construction, mines, running seaports, running banks, financial institutions, all of those are, you can do work from home. You have to come to the work site, and those work sites will have to be secured, and those work sites will have to measure productivity. So now there is this whole new thing about, I also want to measure or track elevated body temperature of the workers that come to those enterprises and industries, because we have to convince our employees that we have done these changes to our enterprises in order to declare them to be safe. Now, not everybody that is going to be detecting elevated body temperature will have COVID-19, but definitely it's not just about COVID-19. It is that, well, you're unwell, you should not be at work, and it's possible that you have a contagious disease. So detecting those people right at entry points is going to be the new norm as we see, businesses reopening, economies reopening. And, I could be wrong, but these are my opinions. I've been speaking to a lot of our existing customers, a lot of, new opportunities that are coming our way, incoming and outgoing. And definitely, our system integrators, our distributors are being asked, do you have something that can detect elevated body temperature or some other health vital signs? Are you able to add this thermal monitoring or thermal screening as part of the products that we purchased from you last year, for example? So
Right.
We have been busy at work trying to answer all those questions.
Invixium manufactures touchless biometric security solutions utilizing face recognition for access control, workforce management, and smart building automation. Their fully integrated hardware and software solution provides meaningful analytics to enterprises and industries for increased health, safety, productivity, and security. Invixium solutions have been deployed by major enterprises and industries across a broad spectrum of verticals including government, banking, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, refineries, seaports, mining, and higher education in over 60 countries. Invixium biometric products are proudly made in Canada. For more information, visit Invixium.com or reach out via email to experience@invixium.com. And now, back to the podcast.
And as you mentioned, economies around the world are in various states of lockdown and early recovery, with many experts suggesting that social distancing measures may be in place for years. And with permanent social changes underway, in addition to this body temperature check, how has the role of physical access control changed in the enterprise?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. This social distancing, physical distancing, it's so prevalent now that it is here to stay. You're absolutely right. It might be months, it might be years, it might be a couple of years. Who knows? When it comes to enterprises and industries, it is going to become absolutely critical for these enterprises to get guidance on how to do all that. So governments will have to write papers, or some consulting firms will have to provide consulting, because enterprises, it's not enough to say that, oh, you can reopen from next week, but make sure you practice social distancing. Enterprises are going to say, but what does that mean? So I think that level of education, as the weeks go by, will be we will see more and more of it. But at an absolute minimum, what we can, as a company, as Invixium or companies like Invixium, what we can offer is that, why don't we detect people with elevated body temperature right at the entry point? So let's say it's a business, and employees are coming to work. How do we detect that these employees do have elevated body temperature? Let alone employees. What about visitors? So like banks, health clinics, hospitals. Like access control, just from a security perspective, is not adequate anymore. Access control will have to talk not just about security, not just talk about productivity. It'll also have to start talking about health. So how are these equipments or these devices that are deployed at entry points going to ensure that it's not just a secure enterprise, or it's not just a productive enterprise, but it's also a healthier enterprise?
Which industries do you expect to adapt quickest to what's being commonly called the new normal?
So two answers. The industries and enterprises that are impacted the most financially and economically will be willing to adopt these new norms or new technologies at a very, very fast pace. I would even go as far as saying at an unprecedented pace, because they want these businesses, business owners, public markets want these industries to survive. And in governments, like, they want some industries to survive, whether it be oil and gas, whether it be automobiles, whether it be this online purchasing or online portals like Amazon, etc. We all want these enterprises and industries to adopt and stay alive and exist in this new world that we are entering. So enterprises that have been economically and financially impacted the most are going to be very, very receptive to these new technologies that we just talked about. But also essential services, industries and enterprises that are mandated to remain open, like food processing plants, whether it be airports, schools, universities, they have to remain open, because there are legislations. They've been categorized as essential services, manufacturing sector, for example. So they will also be very receptive to deploying not just access control devices, biometric devices, but also devices that are capable of detecting any symptoms, whatever that might be, not just about COVID-19, but also any contagious disease, for example. Because in our own businesses, we would want to screen the people that come into our enterprise, whether it be employees. Let's start with employees first. That, okay, we are doing the access control aspect of it for the security of the enterprise. We are going to do the workforce management aspect of it, so that we can do the time tracking for check-in, check-out, etc. But in addition, that, okay, we also want to make sure that you don't have elevated body temperature. So either that technology is going to be integrated with the devices, or some new appliance will have to be installed at an entry point. But there are companies, there are enterprises that are even saying that, well, we will just have a pen and paper. So everybody coming into the office will have to write that, yes, I took my temperature before coming to the office, and it was 98.6, so it was normal. But then you have to have a pen, and you're touching the pen, and multiple people would have touched it. So remote measurement of elevated body temperature or other health vital signs is going to be very, very, very required, in my opinion.
And as the world prepares to reopen, possibly in phases, what advice would you give to end users and decision makers who are looking to retool their existing access control and workforce management systems?
That's a super question, Susan. I'll use an example. I was talking to one of our system integrators in Europe. We were just talking, how are things in your country? And the system integrator was able to describe very quickly that we get calls like, do you have something that can measure body temperature? If we say yes, the next question is, do you have it in stock? If we say yes, they're ready to place the order, they're ready to wire the money and say, okay, deliver it tomorrow. If the answer is no, they say, thank you very much, goodbye, we'll try somewhere else. So I strongly advise system integrators, end users, to not indulge in panic buying, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up buying something that is not accurate, it's not robust, it's not giving you, consistent measurements, and you will deploy it for a purpose, and it could backfire on you a month from now or 6 weeks from now. So we are doing as a company whatever we can to provide the necessary education through webinars, through blogs, and obviously, Susan, you are, you and Peter do a fantastic job as well in terms of education, and I encourage you as well to just utilize this term. Please don't indulge in panic buying. And I've described panic buying like don't just because you get it today doesn't matter what quality it is. I suggest that before buying anything, make sure you are able to talk to the manufacturer directly. Make sure you're able to ask the right questions about the quality of the product. Where is it manufactured? When did you start manufacturing it? Because it's entirely possible that there's a lot of opportunistic companies that are opening up, and that may not even be around 2 months from now, because it was just about seizing the opportunity. So asking about the longevity of the company, just make sure that you are, and this is when I say you, I mean system integrators or customers, that avoid panic buying, ask the right questions, make sure that you mandate that I want to speak with the manufacturer, I want collateral, I want to see videos, I want to see case studies, etc. So don't hesitate to ask the right questions of the manufacturers before you buy anything, because you want to make sure that, first of all, you're only going to buy these things because you want to screen people, whether it be employees, whether it be visitors, at entry points, so that you can declare your office, your enterprise, your industry to be safe, in addition to secure and productive. And all the more reason that, because you're going to be screening people for temperature, for any other health vital sign, make sure that you can ensure that it's giving the accurate reading. It is from a proper brand. It is manufactured with the right quality standards, etc. That's the one only advice I have for any of the end customer system integrators that are going to be deploying such technologies to aid this COVID-19 response, or to aid a proper reopening of the economy.
Oh, I think that's fairly sound advice. Here at FindBiometrics Mobile ID World, we're absolutely focusing on the critical education in our industry now more than ever.
The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted our way of life, affected countries, stock markets, and enterprises alike. During these unprecedented times, the security of organizations and the health of employees are ever so important. As countries ease lockdowns and plan for a return to the workplace, Invixium has been hard at work developing solutions to solve real-world problems at a rapid pace. By focusing on touchless biometric solutions that ensure the safety and security of the enterprise as well as the employee's peace of mind, and by implementing technologies like fever detection, Invixium is leading the change into the new world of access control and workforce management. For more information, visit Invixium.com or reach out via email to experience@invixium.com. And now, back to the podcast.
Invixium has always been a forward-looking company. What is your COVID-19 response for 2020?
I was wishing you asked that question, because I've been itching to talk about our new solutions that we've been hard at work. So, fortunately, we had launched the IXM Titan about 2 years ago. And when we launched that product, the tagline for that product was the most advanced biometric product ever engineered. And what we meant by that was we realized that we have over-engineered the product, because we wanted the product to remain modern, to remain relevant for the next 5 to 7 years. And I'm so glad we did that. And we have been hard at work since I would say end of February, when the first news about lockdowns have started to come, and when WHO had declared COVID-19 as a pandemic, etc. And what we thought would be very relevant in the weeks and months to come would be to add what the industry is calling it. Some are calling it fever detection, some are calling it EBT, which is elevated body temperature detection. Some are just calling it thermal camera. So we have managed to integrate thermal camera, a thermal infrared camera, I would say, with our Titan, that will now do temperature screening or temperature detection or elevated body temperature detection, along with it doing face recognition. We are not expecting the user or the employee or the visitor to stand in front of the Titan and do anything different. We had claimed that we'll be able to do face recognition under 1 second. And in that same under 1 second, we'll now be able to detect the temperature, display the temperature on the LCD if the enterprises so chooses, to allow the enterprises to do various workflows, meaning person A can come in, normal body temperature, everything is fine. Person B has elevated body temperature, so you can have alarms going, you can have a different weekend string going to the access panel, you can have a pop-up going to health and safety department or the HR department or the admin department, depending on the size of your organization. We are going to allow administrators or enterprises to design their own custom workflow, whatever they want, with the detection of elevated body temperature. So that's one. That's available with the Titan, that's available now. And we will be doing a public announcement this week for that. Second, we have, through market demands, what we are also coming out with as a derivative of that is, because we get requests where we don't want our employees to be temperature checked, we just want it for visitors. So you asked me a question about which industries will adopt new technologies for COVID-19 faster than others. So, healthcare, whether it be health clinics, diagnostic labs, food processing plants, wherever any industry that is accepting more visitors, like banks and clinics that I just spoke about, they said we just want to give the visitors the opportunity to measure the temperature themselves at the entry point before they even go to the reception desk to check in for their meeting, etc. So a derivative of our product, we will just have it as a visitor fever detection kiosk. It has got nothing to do with biometrics. It's got nothing to do with access control or workforce management. It's just a visitor. They'll see a label, the fever detection kiosk. They'll stand in front. We'll do a face detection. We will take the temperature of the person, display it on the screen, and through the HDMI port that we have behind the Titan, we'll be able to show a live feed on a monitor so that whoever is monitoring it can see what the visitors are being screened at from a temperature perspective. Now that's a derivative of the Titan that we will also be coming out with. The third, recognizing and realizing that not everybody is going to be able to afford the Titan because it's a pretty comprehensive device. It does a lot of things. It's powerful. It's IP67. It's IK10. It does 4-factor authentication, etc. We have also been able to tailor the state-of-the-art, the iconic face recognition algorithm that we have. We have been able to tailor it and put it or integrate it with our IXM Touch 2 device. Don't panic. I know I said the word touch, which I'm not supposed to, but IXM Touch 2 is now going to be touchless because we have been able to integrate our state-of-the-art face recognition algorithm into a more affordable product, a more affordable form factor, which will be the IXM Touch 2, which we now call is touchless. And it's going to be much more affordable compared to the Titan, but don't compare it to the Titan. Titan is a product that's going to work anywhere, everywhere, rugged environments, outside, inside, harsh environments. When it comes to Touch 2, which is now touchless, the face recognition over there is going to have the same performance, and same accuracy, but it might be a bit slow. It might be more suitable for indoor applications, etc., but very much will compete with the solutions that exist in the market today. So these three solutions, we are announcing it, and we should be we have started to take orders, and we will be ready to deploy. And that's pretty fast-paced development that our claim to fame is, because Invixium is known for fast time to market, for quality, for accuracy, for giving out tailored solutions, customized solutions. And we believe it was prudent for us to come out with a solution that can be pretty much declared our response to COVID-19, in addition to the IXM Web software, where we are advancing the workforce management solution that we have to do advanced shift management, because enterprises will be allowed to reopen, but they may have to introduce more shifts because of social distancing, etc. So we will advance our shift management feature drastically. And down the road, we intend to continue to enhance our software to maybe figure out a way to do some, contact tracing along with our products that are installed at entry points and exit points. So our first phase of COVID-19 response, you will see announcements all over the world this week. And as and when we continue to enhance it, I'm sure that you will be one of the first ones to know.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. And speaking of looking ahead, how do you expect your company to adapt to this large-scale change in the long term?
I think we are on a good path to adapt. We have always believed that it is important to tailor the solutions to the needs of the market. We don't compete on features. We have always believed that we want, as a company, to solve real life problems. And COVID-19 is a real life problem. And we are fully ready. Our technologies are ready, capable, extensible, flexible to attend to and doing our part with our technologies to do whatever we can to make enterprises and industries not just more secure, not just more productive, but now also safer and healthier, so that we all can feel comfortable as governments are loosening the legislations and they're allowing economies to open. We cannot let our guard down. We will need to utilize products and software and technologies that are associated with machine learning, with AI, to figure out a way, how do we do our part in making sure that we prevent a second wave or a third wave. I'm not saying that it's easily preventable, but if everybody does their part, social distancing, governments have done their part in spite of terrific and unprecedented economic impact. They have taken bold steps to lock down cities and full countries. Now they're loosening things. If enterprises and industries wanna take advantage of being alive or being in existence in this new world, new norm, I do think that we will all have to deploy new technologies that we never thought about. I never in my life thought of associating the word thermal with biometrics or the word health with biometrics. It was irrelevant, but now it is mandatory. I think it is mandatory.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible to see the rapid shift in our industry as the world, has new solutions that it's looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. How can listeners get in touch to learn more about what we discussed today?
So the best way is Invixium.com, our website, a wealth of information, contact information, product information, blogs, press releases, case studies are on there. If you want to get in touch with me directly, it's skapadia@invixium.com. And my cell phone number is +1 647 282 1745. And whether you decide to do any business with Invixium or not, if you just want to brainstorm, this is the problem I have, this is what I'm thinking of, feel free, because yes, I'm the CEO of Invixium and I have strategic and financial responsibility to grow the company. But I also am who I am because of the biometric industry. And I feel I have an obligation to be a consultant in the biometric industry. So if you just want to call for giving education or brainstorm something or get any consulting, feel free to reach out to me by email or by phone. I'll be happy to talk to you. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Shiraz.
And so concludes Susan Stover's interview with Invixium CEO Shiraz Kapadia. To learn more about the topics discussed in this episode, visit Invixium.com or reach out via email to experience@invixium.com. Thank you to Shiraz for joining us on this episode, and thank you once again to Susan Stover for conducting the interview. Our podcast theme music is by Logomrad. I have been your host, Peter Counter. Thank you for listening to the ID Talk podcast.